looking at it. Third segment here of the Truzz the Bank podcast. Thank you everybody for checking into this segment. If you're listening on the podcast, continuing and listening. Make sure to subscribe to TTB Ravens Media for daily Ravens content. But it's the Truzz the Bank podcast, and I had to do it. I feel like I have one every week. And is this stupid take? My favorite segment that we do, because it allows me to really get the creative juices flowing, to think about the wildest scenarios that could be stupid and a lot of Ravens fans would really hate, but maybe I've got kind of an idea. So in the comment section down below, let me know if my idea is stupid or if you're like, you know what, I can get behind that, because this one's a bit of a doozy. The Ravens should not draft a wide receiver in the first 2 days. No wide receivers the first 2 days. They have to take, if they take a wide receiver, it has to be, and you know what, I'll say can't even be a fourth round pick. No wide receiver in the first 4 rounds. Got to be 5th, 6th, or 7th. That's my bold predict, or not my bold prediction. Is this stupid? Now I'll give my reasoning for it. The Ravens have holes on their roster. The biggest holes being the edge position, which is a massive hole. Then they also have a hole at center, and then potentially a hole at right tackle, or at least they have a future hole at right tackle that they know will be, coming out, after this next season, because Orlando Brown Jr. will not stay with the Ravens unless the Ravens franchise tag him and then we're forcing him to play. But I don't expect, the Ravens aren't that type of organization that will, they loved his dad, rest in peace. They love Orlando Brown. I think they're going to do right by him. So the Ravens going to have a hole at right tackle. They're going to have a hole at center. They have a hole at center, actually. Then they also need, wide receivers in a sense, but, we signed Sammy Watkins. So at least the idea where the Ravens have, 3 guys that I'm very comfortable with in terms of Hollywood, Watkins, and Duvernay. But then, you look at the secondary, and yeah, there's a bit of a hole in the secondary. We talked about the bold prediction, take a corner, first round. There's also, could go linebacker, because I don't know how long LJ Fort is going to be with the Ravens. Could go, interior defensive line. But, looking at the wide receiver position, there aren't a ton of day 2 guys that I'm in love with. There's some okay players. I'm not trying to take anything away from them, but there are a lot of sleepers this year. And why that is because of COVID. Because of COVID, the amount of players that opted out, the amount of shortened games, the no fans, the weird things that were going on, the missed games, there's a lot of players that are going to be overlooked. A lot of players that went to smaller schools that aren't going to be watched as much because, of situational things. That's a major impact. So the guys that go later, there's more upside, I believe, in the COVID drafts because players didn't play. So, if somebody didn't play and you're trying to evaluate them, it's more difficult, but there could be a lot of gems in the rough. And there really are, in the day 3 picks. Tamarius Terry, my guy, Simi Fehoko could potentially be a 5th round pick. If the Ravens, if he's available in the 4th round, you take Simi Fehoko. So maybe my is this stupid isn't correct. You take Simi Fehoko no matter what. It's like in draft day. Take Simi no matter what. I don't care. You trade up for the number 1 pick, you take Simi. You don't take anybody else. But you look at what, and the late round guys, there's so many with great size. There's so many with great speed. There's so many with great ball skills. Even a guy like I talked about, I don't want the Ravens to draft TJ Vasher, but there's just so many guys. TJ Vasher, 6'6", Tamarian Terry, 6'4", Simi Fehoko, 6'4", Jonathan Adams Jr. is 6'3", and they all have good deep threat ability with great ball skills. That's all the Ravens need, in my opinion. And the other thing is, since they already have 3 wide receivers I'm comfortable with, and then they also have Prochet, who they're still developing, and I think will get an increased role. They're just looking for depth that can develop into something that can be better. Think about, what not Marlon Brown, not Marlon Brown. Who was that? Chris Moore. Out of Cincinnati. I believe was a 4th or 5th round pick. He was able to come in, depth piece. He was a great special teams player. That's what we need out of these later guys. We're going to most likely lose Anthony Levine, special teams captain. Like, we're going to need some guys that can come in and play special teams, but also develop and then become one of those guys when Sammy Watkins eventually leaves, because he's only on a 1-year deal. Mm-hmm. So in the draft, first round, you could, you've got 4 picks, we'll say, or 4 or 5 picks. So with those 4 or 5 picks, take 2 edge rushers, okay? Take a right tackle. Take a center. That's 4 players already. With that other pick, you could go with a good old-fashioned safety or a cornerback, or you could go with the tight end. But, we already have the weapon, Josh Oliver, so, not absolutely necessary. I'm a big Josh Oliver believer. But there's other positions we can address and then still have a very, very good wide receiver player come out of the draft. And this is hugely relying on T. Martin and Keith Williams. This is like if they can't do their job, but like if the Ravens believe in them, like I think you can do it. Hey, you could even draft T. Martin's son. I can't remember his name. But I know his son's in the draft, but that's kind of my thoughts on it. So, Joshua, don't take a wide receiver through the first, kind of 4 rounds unless Simi Fehoko is available late 4th round. It's the only caveat. Is that stupid?
Man. You got to rub your neck a little bit. You don't know what to say just yet. I understand where you're going with it. But I'm going to say it's stupid. The reason I'm going to say it's stupid. We got one monkey off our back as far as beating the Tennessee Titans. Cool. And also, sorry guys, we got one monkey off our back beating Tennessee Titans. That's good. Now we need to get an internal monkey off the back, meaning we had to have a developed pass game, and also with developed wide receivers. I mean, yes, with the T. Martin and Keith Williams additions, it shows a sign of commitment, but we won't know until an actual game is been played if they truly committed to the passing scheme. So if we see some type of production, if we get word from camp that, hey, T. Martin and Keith Williams, they had been in contact with the wide receiver core, because, I mean, who do we have? Sammy Watkins, Hollywood Brown, Duvernay, Prochet, Deion Kane. That's on the practice squad?
Yep.
And there's like one more. Oh, sorry.
Miles Boykin.
My tight end, my flex tight end.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a tight end. He's half a receiver for me. So we had about 5.5 receivers. We still don't have the guy. When it comes to tight ends, we have Mark Andrews. When it comes to our offensive line, let's be real about it. We have Ronnie Stanley. Unfortunately, he did suffer that end-of-season injury after he got paid. Hopefully we get him. Hopefully he's ready to go for training camp. Quarterback, we have a top-tier quarterback. I don't care what anybody says. So Lamar, that's my guy. I'm riding him until the wheels fall off. Running backs, our premier running back is Ray Rice 2.0. But would I love to add another one? I definitely would. And I'm really high on my guy from University of Buffalo. Can't remember his name right now, but hey, if you can give me 6 touchdowns in the game, I love it. So, needless to say, we have those guys in those rooms. We don't have the guy yet for the wide receiver room. So, we have to, as a fan, I would love for Eric DeCosta to give me what I want. Give me a top-tier receiver. Give me a receiver that we don't have to worry about developing so much. We have to break the Ravens have to break the cycle of bringing in guys that are sold highly but don't live up to the expectations. We've seen it way too many times. So I'm sorry. Within that first, second round, I gotta get me a wide receiver. Lamar, like I know Lamar. You win championships with offensive line and a strong defense, but Kansas City, the only team that had the best offensive line in years is the Patriots when they had Tom Brady, and the Buccaneers last year when they had who? Tom Brady. Because even when Kansas City won the championship, their offensive line was not the best. But for the simple fact that Patrick Mahomes knew how to orchestrate and throw a deep ball, and his wide receivers, kept going. They extended their routes. It helped them out in the long run. So it's like it's a tug of war thing, especially when money involved. So I still want a wide receiver. Yes. I still love an edge rusher. You know the Ravens way. At the May 3rd, after they cut some guys, we go after some veterans, sign them on, bring them on, and we get the best out of some of these these players that leave their organizations. Okay. So I still need a wide receiver that can come in, catch the ball, extend the plays, open up the field for Hollywood even more, and give Lamar Jackson breathing room. I'm tired of seeing my boy.
Yeah, there is a wide receiver that can come in and do that. His name's Simi Fehoko.
That's my second guy.
He's going to see, but the thing, like the value wise, so my comparison is you look at what the 49ers, San Francisco 49ers did last year. John Lynch, shout out to him. Very, very good GM. They were sitting there in the draft. I'm trying to remember the numbers. Sorry, I'm not a 49ers fan. Sitting there at about 13, 12, wherever they were. And they were picking, and they wanted a wide receiver. Kyle Shanahan was like, I need me a wide receiver. And the mold he wanted was a guy that is amazing after the catch. And it was like, okay. And everybody going into the draft was looking at wide receivers. There were three top guys, Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb, Henry Ruggs. And one of those was like, this guy after the catch is one of the best in college football, like maybe ever. CeeDee Lamb, monster after the catch. And everybody's like, 49ers are up. CeeDee Lamb is on the board. And everybody's like, oh, take CeeDee Lamb, right? He'd fit perfectly. They say no. They don't draft CeeDee Lamb. They decide to draft Javon Kinlaw, but to fill a hole on their team because they saw, okay, we lost to Forrest Buckner. We need to fill that hole at defensive tackle. Then what they did was they drafted later. They drafted Brandon Ayuk 27th, 28th in the first round. And why they did that was because Kyle Shanahan valued them at what they would bring to his offense with what he needed at the same level. He was like, after the catch, they're about the same. Mm-hmm. Like the value of Ayuk versus CeeDee Lamb, they're right there. So he was able to draft that. So if you're looking at what the Ravens would need out of their wide receivers early, they need a guy that's big and is a deep threat. So
Marshall and Simi is there.
So Terrace Marshall and Simi Fehoko are at the same level in terms of what they bring to the Ravens offense.
Okay.
Now, obviously, Terrace Marshall Jr. is a better prospect than Simi Fehoko, but what he would be the Ravens, and they're in first year players with the Ravens, they're not going to be like, all right, first play, Terrace Marshall Jr., you're going to go deep. No, they're going to be like, okay, you're on the bench for, a month. Then maybe they'll put him in eventually and he'll start playing, but they'll only put him in situations. Even Hollywood Brown drafted, what was he, 15th, 17th? Mm-hmm. He was like wide receiver 3 on the depth chart for like the first 3 months of the season. like it was stupid. Every Ravens fan was like, he's clearly the best wide receiver on this roster, but Terrace Marshall Jr., he'd be like wide receiver 3, or he'd probably be wide receiver 4, because they'd have Duvernay in the slot and they'd have Sammy Watkins and Hollywood Brown on the outside. So he'd be wide receiver 4, and he'd come in to be the deep threat. Well, Simi Fehoko can come in and be the deep threat as wide receiver 4. Now, the Simi Fehoko's ceiling is not, weapon X type of thing that you'd be able to get out of Terrace Marshall, but if T. Martin and Keith Williams are able to do their job and things like that, he'd be able to contribute right away. And then the Ravens in the next draft could go after wide receiver 1. in that next draft. And that's kind of my other part, because my other, is this stupid was basically like value wise. Simi Fehoko is better than Terrence Marshall Jr. But then I was like, hey, I can just kind of combine it into this, because it's like the value that you get from Terrence Marshall is wide receiver 4. Like Ravens wouldn't draft him and be like, all right, Sammy Watkins, you're on the bench. No, they're like, all right, you get to be wide receiver 4 for us. And it's sad. If it was any other organization that was like, okay, we can, like, if we were the Pittsburgh Steelers and they draft wide receivers and they send them right away, you take Terrence Marshall. But if you're the Ravens and you're like, yeah, you're wide receiver 4, we'll put you in specific situations where we need you, which is the deep threat, which is the jump ball wide receiver, that's Simi Fehoko's job. I mean, that is what he's going to do in the NFL. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of my closing argument. You want to respond to that kind of idea before we wrap it up?
I mean, I would ask this. So that means, so you're pretty much saying to me that you trust the experiment of T. Martin, Keith Williams. That's what you're saying. So you're trusting that they are committing to actually having a passing game this upcoming season.
Yeah, I'm insane. The definition of insanity, we all know it. Doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. I am insane. It's going to change. Simi Fehoko to the Ravens will happen. It'll be amazing. Going to get him on the show. Speak it into existence.
He's a great. I feel like he would definitely fit in the organization. I feel like he can definitely. It will be definitely another addition. When I say upgrade, Simi, don't take it the wrong way. I don't feel like it would be a over the top upgrade, but I do feel like it will help us. It will give us. It will. At the end of the day, we need guys to give Lamar breathing room. I'm tired of seeing my boy, cussing everybody out. They want to throw the ball at everybody. So, if McConnell can trust the whole experiment of us committing to the passing game, I'm going to follow the lead this one time.
Yes. I'm getting everybody on the Simi Fehoko hype train. I tweeted out right after, shout out to Suggs, overtime game winner against UCLA. And I tweeted out, right after that, I was like, in honor of UCLA losing an overtime game, on a last second type of play. Watch Simi Fehoko's game against UCLA, in which he had 3 touchdowns. One, the game-tying touchdown with 30 seconds left to send the game to overtime, and the game-winning fade route, back shoulder throw, high point to Simi Fehoko in overtime to win the game. So, if you're not already, follow Truzz the Bank on Twitter, because, I am on the Simi Fehoko hype train. I'm pretty sure like half my tweets are just like, get Simi Fehoko to Baltimore.
Hey, listen, Eric DeCosta ain't listen to us, man. He needs to get us over on his moves. I'm trying to tell you. We can be in the war room. We can scout some players out.
He'd ask us, and he's like, "Yeah, what's a top tier offensive lineman you've got in the draft?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, Simi Fehoko. You got to draft this guy, bro. This dude could come in left guard, monster. You got to draft him every time."
Oh man, Ravens. Right. It's the best season. This is the best season of off season, where I said it many a times, where we throw the best. We're gonna throw some of the wildest ideas out to you. This is, we are in the war room with Eric DeCosta, figuratively speaking.
Yeah, I think we're more in tune than EDC. I'm just kidding. But that's gonna do it for this full episode of the Truzz the Bank podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, check out the other segments. Subscribe for daily Ravens content. We'll be back. Hopefully later this week, because this will be uploaded on Tuesday. So hopefully, at some point later this week, we'll get the episode back. Hopefully there's more Ravens news that comes out, because, we've been waiting. We got some money. Shout out LJ Fort signed. We didn't talk about it, but it was a solid signing. I think every Ravens fan's like,
The Ravens way.
The Ravens way is to sign people, and then just everybody just sit there and be like, "Yep, good job. All right, let's move on." But thank you everybody for watching and listening. Comment, like, subscribe, and we'll see all of you again next week, and I'll see all of you again tomorrow for I don't know, whatever I talk about a few days in advance. I'll figure it out, but see you guys later.